Welcome to the Oasis. My name's Mike, and I just got home from Gamescom in Cologne, Germany. It's one of the biggest gaming events of the year, and I'll be doing a roundup of every VR and MR game I played on the show floor in another video coming later this week. But today, I just want to focus on Batman Arkham Shadow. At Gamescom, I got an exclusive demo of Batman Arkham Shadow where I got to play it for around 30 minutes and spend some time with the developers Camouflage, asking them a bunch of questions. Full disclosure, Meta sponsored my trip to Gamescom, including flights and accommodation so I could attend this exclusive demo, but my thoughts are entirely my own and they don't get to preview this video before it goes live. However, with all that said, I do genuinely believe the game is excellent, and I'll be explaining why I think that throughout this video. There's a lot to unpack and a lot to talk about, so let's dive in. So, starting with a bit of background information for context. It's been almost a decade since the last Batman Arkham game, with Batman Arkham Knight releasing in 2015 and Batman Arkham VR releasing in 2016. Batman Arkham Shadow doesn't follow on from these games in the Arkham timeline. Instead, it goes back to an earlier time in Batman's career, set between the story of Batman Arkham Origins and Batman Arkham Asylum. Batman Arkham Shadow has been in development for over 3.5 years. The studio, Camouflage, are well-established VR developers who have been making VR content for a decade and are now a Meta first-party studio. If you're not familiar with their work, they're the same team behind the excellent Marvel's Iron Man VR, so I was confident that Batman Arkham Shadow was in safe hands, even when it was originally announced. Having now met the team, it's super clear that they deeply care about getting this right, they understand the responsibility that they have, and they're 100% committed to delivering an authentic Batman Arkham game in VR that will not only thrill newcomers, but also longtime fans of the franchise. Batman Arkham Shadow will be releasing exclusively on MetaQuest 3 in October this year, and you'll understand why they went down the Quest 3 only route when I talk more about the tech in this game later on in the video. So to touch on the story, Batman Arkham Shadow takes place over several days, starting on the 4th of July, America's Independence Day, with Gotham City in the midst of a huge riot where the city is being overrun by a new threat, the Rat King and his loyal thugs. Commissioner Gordon and the District Attorney Harvey Dent have been captured by the Rats, who have stated they'll execute them unless their demands are met. And of course, it's your job as Batman to bring order to this chaos. As I mentioned earlier, this isn't the first time we've been able to step into the boots of Batman in VR. Batman Arkham VR launched way back in 2016, originally on the PSVR 1. While it was admittedly a great experience, it was very short, clocking in at just 1 hour, and it was also limited to teleportation movement only. With Batman Arkham Shadow, although the game isn't an open world like some of the other flat Batman Arkham games, players will be able to freely explore the environment with lots of traversal options, and the team at Camouflage are aiming for a playtime similar to Batman Arkham Asylum, so expect somewhere between 8 to 12 hours of content, and much more for completionists who want to find all the hidden collectibles. I was told that Batman Arkham Shadow was heavily inspired by the design of Batman Arkham Asylum, where at some point you'll have an open courtyard with branching dungeon-style areas to explore. Each of these dungeons will take players around 1 to 2 hours to complete, where players will eventually unlock one of Batman's gadgets, which can be then used to finish the dungeon, and then use that gadget to go back to previous dungeons to explore areas that were locked off. It sounds very Metroidvania-like. So my demo started at the beginning of the first chapter of the game, deep in the sewer system underneath Gotham City. It was clear that you had arrived into the sewer using the Batboat as it was docked nearby. It did look awesome, although I've been told that driving these vehicles won't be possible in the game. Straight away, I was immediately struck with how good Batman Arkham Shadow looks. The world is packed with detail, and it's definitely one of the better looking games I've played on the Quest 3. And when you see it in action, you really begin to understand why this could only be possible on the Quest 3. It runs at native resolution and has no reprojection. Something else that hit me straight away is that you have a full Batman body represented in VR. So when you look down, you have a chest, a utility belt, arms and legs, which does a great job of really making you feel like you're Batman. Batarangs are mounted on your chest, smoke bombs are mounted on your forearm, and you have holsters on the utility belt for gadgets like the gel launcher, for example. When exploring the world, I found that Batman Arkham Shadow supports real-time shadows, which is something you really don't see often in standalone VR games. This means that if a light is behind you as you're walking, you'll see your shadow being cast in front of you, which just reinforces that feeling of you being Batman. It's details like these that make you realize this just wouldn't have been possible on the Quest 2. While the visuals are great, special attention has also been put into the audio. While it was difficult to really appreciate this on a busy show floor at Gamescom, I was told that Batman Arkham Shadow will be the first Quest title to feature audio ray tracing. I'm really looking forward to checking this feature out when I eventually get to play Batman Arkham Shadow at home with a nice pair of headphones. Whilst on the subject of audio, Alfred was on hand throughout the demo to guide me through the sewers towards the Rat's Den. If you're familiar with the Batman Arkham series, you'll be glad to know that a lot of the voice talent are returning to work on this game, such as Martin Jarvis as Alfred, Tara Strong as Harleen Quinzel, and Roger Craig Smith as the voice of Batman himself. Of course, it wouldn't be a Batman Arkham game without exploration and cool traversal, and Batman Arkham Shadow is no exception. You'll have iconic Batman gadgets and tools to use at your disposal. In my demo, I got to play around with the grapple gun, and just like in other Batman Arkham games, when there's opportunity to use the grapple gun, you'll see a grapple icon highlighted. Just point where you want to go, press the A button on the controller, and you'll zip to the location where you can then pull yourself up and over. Another cool traversal mechanic is using the cape, which you can use to glide down from high areas. You simply grab the edges of your cape using the grip buttons on the controllers and walk off the edge of a platform. During the glide, you can control the direction and even pull off gliding kicks on unsuspecting enemies below. Now this all sounds like it might be super intense in VR, but throughout my entire demo, everything felt really comfortable to play, so I think newcomers to VR will also be able to jump in and enjoy the game without any issues. I understand that the story scenes will be experienced in first person as Batman in a lockdown room, so you can freely walk around the environment while these iconic characters from the series are talking, and then you can feel like you're part of the scene as the story unfolds. Another gadget I got to try out during my demo was the detective vision. This is activated by simply pressing the trigger button next to the headset. Just like the previous Batman Arkham games, detective vision is used to solve puzzles, find hidden areas, and analyze potential threats. While using detective vision in the demo, I was able to uncover hidden areas where I was rewarded with collectible items, such as these little rat statues and rat propaganda radios. I was told one of the biggest challenges the Camouflage team faced when developing Batman Arkham Shadow was getting the combat right, and making it feel like an authentic Batman Arkham game. Having played the previous games in the franchise, I can wholeheartedly say they absolutely nailed it. When speaking to the team, they explained that they took inspiration from other great VR games like the rhythm of Beat Saber, the time dilation of Superhot, and the weighty feeling of weapons and movement from The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, all to ensure that the combat felt fluid and fun. Something I was concerned about when the game was originally announced was how they were going to handle movement between enemy encounters, because using stick locomotion would have just made the combat feel clunky and slow. So Camouflage came up with the idea that instead of walking up to enemies and just wailing on them with your fists, you actually punch across the room towards an enemy's direction, which sends you lunging towards them, where you're then given the combo indicators on what moves you need to pull off to take them down. As you're often taking on a bunch of enemies all at once in these encounters, you can easily get surrounded and ambushed from behind. In these situations, you get a little icon on your HUD to indicate an incoming attack from the side or from behind you. You then hold your arm out in that direction that was indicated so you can counter the attack. The view just snaps to the new target and then you continue your combo. This clever design gives you that great free-flow feeling combat of the original Batman Arkham games. If you're able to successfully build up your combo meter, you'll be rewarded by pulling off a special brutal attack move like this devastating knee to the face attack. I've been told that these combos will vary throughout the game, and new combos will unlock through the skill tree and by using Batman's various gadgets. And that's just the basic combat. There's also plenty of times where you're faced with armed enemies and you'll need to approach the situation using stealth instead. You can hide in the shadows, slide into vents, silently take down enemies from above, or even creep up behind them and choke them out by wrestling them left and right, which feels totally awesome. At the end of each combat encounter, you'll get a scorecard with how long the combo was, how much variety there was in the combo, and how much you got hit during the encounter, with an XP reward. So to round this up, I think the highest praise that I could give Batman Arkham Shadow is that it feels exactly like the previous Batman Arkham games, perfectly translated across to VR. If you're a fan of the series, new to the series, even new to VR, Batman Arkham Shadow is going to be a must-play title, in my opinion, when it drops in October later this year. So that is all from me for today. I feel like it's a very exciting time in VR right now. We have new VR hardware on the horizon, big games coming soon like Batman Arkham Shadow, Behemoth, Alien Rogue Incursion, and Metro Awakening. So I think the future is looking very bright indeed. If you have any questions about Batman Arkham Shadow, please let me know in the comments down below. Leave a cheeky little like if you enjoyed the video. Make sure you're subscribed for all my future VR content. And as always, I'll see you all on the next one. Cheers.